Welcome back to the Betterman YouTube channel. If you haven't already, click the subscribe and notification bell on your way in. I want to talk today about purpose and mission as men through space and how integral that is as part of, if not all-encompassing definition of masculinity. The lie that men were told, especially over the Industrial Revolution as that started to come online, and men went from sort of individual warriors, team player warriors within the village, hunter-gatherers. As we transitioned over into the Industrial Revolution, warriors were no longer beneficial to the elites, to the power, to the Rockefellers or the men that were building the factories. They needed worker bees, and not free thinkers, not individualists, not warriors. And so marriage got shifted, and the purpose of marriage and the meaning of marriage basically changed to make men convinced that their ultimate purpose, move that energy in life, was to get married, was to find a woman, be a father, and have a job, hard day's work for a fair day's pay. And that, for the general population, for the herd, and I'm talking about the West here, that was the basic outline for a man. You know, this is Industrial Revolution, so like pre-feminism. The men still were working, but they were no longer individuals or free thinkers. They were not pushing out beyond the realms of what they were being told to do. They were being educated just enough to operate the machinery, but they didn't want men that would be asking too many questions. And so they lobotomized men a little bit even back then, but they also just pivoted where the purpose lies. And that is what's so paramount. And what I want to talk about today is this notion of purpose and meaning. We can, as men, find purpose or meaning, and both, in anything. And it's where we find that purpose and meaning will dictate our life, quality of life that we experience as we perceive it. And for most men, they want to be given a sort of cheat sheet of what is meaning for them. Where do they find meaning? Who's telling you what the meaning is, and do you believe it? Because it's not easy to just come up with your own set of rules, values, boundaries and standards, that's for sure, which is why religion for many centuries was so profound. Mythology, stories, value systems, politics, culture, all of these systems dictate to the general population how to be, what's good, what's bad, what you should be striving for. Don't step outside of the group, all of that stuff. And I have never really felt like I fitted into any of those preconceived ideas. But as I am a member of society and in the West, whether we like it or not, we're all somewhat attached to Judaism, Christian morality and values. Even if you're atheist in 2025, you know, the notion of knowing what, we all know not to murder people, for example. This morality comes from somewhere, and it stems from religion, whether you like it or not. And that's meaning. And purpose is more around the mission, right? The purpose and mission of your life. What is that going to be? And for many men, for many generations, it's basically just been about getting married. And getting married is the landmark moment of any man. And because historically women were also part of that system, and that being married meant something beyond the two people's immediate feelings, and that it was a commitment, and it sort of regulated society, and there was value to it because everybody believed in it, right? Like any marketplace, you have to believe in the value of something to make it valuable. And for generations, society believed in marriage as a way to sort of put the guardrails around the human experience. And it was marriage, and it was God. And it was like sort of done for you for most people. What we're dealing with now is a breakdown of all of that. I've talked about this a little bit before in some of my TikTok videos, but essentially from the Nietzschean perspective of what he was saying, which was God is dead and we have killed him, he wasn't celebrating that. It was a forewarning. He was pre-predicting what was coming as the reality of the breakdown of God and the breakdown of all of the moral and value structures of society. because we didn't have anything to replace God other than science and progress, which came in as a replacement. But the problem with that is that any good scientist will tell you that science is true until it isn't. So that's a bit of a moving target. And there's a certain safety that comes with the right and wrong of things and the word of God. You know, and if you think about religion and spirituality, it's, you know, Christianity, Muslim, whatever you're looking at. For the most part, it all comes back to this notion of making sense of what we can't make sense of, right? So religion and spirituality and the meaning in your life, it fulfills and fills in questions that cannot be answered. And so God takes over that. The earliest recorded humans were looking up into the sky and seeing the sun and just being completely in awe of it, of like, well, we're here and we're just humans interacting and ultimately just trying to survive at that point. But we're looking up at this magnificent shining light, the light of the sun. And because we as humans, we are trying to understand things all the time. We're trying to make sense of our surroundings. Are we safe? And then we're saying, what's the meaning of it? And we are the ones that create meaning, ultimately. And the earliest humans must have been just looking at the sun going, well, that's obviously God, the light of God, the Son of God. And it all stems back from that. The earliest recorded religions, they all follow the same sort of traits of the 12 disciples, Son of God, the miracle birth, the transcendence and the Easter story, all of it. It basically copies and pastes across all religions in some form or another, with obviously nuances to each one. But, you know, Horus, I think, was one of the first, the god of Horus, and that's why the devil is the dark, right? The sun is the light of the Lord, the light of life. When we have daylight, we can start living. We wake up from our sleep, from our temporary death, you know, of sleep, and we wake back up and live another day. And then darkness falls on us again, and essentially our daily lives are a battle between light and dark. And as humans and as men, we've made stories and mythology up around all of this magic that's going on around us. It's beautiful. It's an incredible situation to make sense of all of this. And as we've grown and developed over centuries and societies, and what we've managed to do as humans is unbelievable, you know, and it should be celebrated. As much as there's been so much horror and bloodshed along the way, I believe that is also the balance of things. The balance is not about everything's the same. It's completely in polarity to each other. And we've got the right amount of this and the right amount of that. And the two polarities make this balance. The yin and yang, the darkness and the light, the good and the evil, the pain and the pleasure, whatever you want to call it. It's all polarity based, masculine, feminine, you know, and we live on this rock. It's a fireworks show, as Alan Watts would say, and I believe him on that. And that comes with the journey of the sacred suffering that comes, particularly for men. A shark has to keep moving in the water. A shark hunts, and a shark constantly moves. If a shark stops moving, it dies. It's no longer a shark, it's dead. And that's the same for men, and it's not the same for women. And that is what has been so tragic about this modern era of assimilating and interchangeable men and women, and that they are the same. That has been one of the greatest psyops of all time. And they're not the same. And their powers lie in such different spaces. And they're equally powerful in the balance of things, but completely different in their power. And as men, that is why purpose, mission, and meaning is so important for you guys. You've got to have a why, and then you can put up with any how, ultimately. Once you get your why sorted out, you'll go through anything. And the thing is with men is that masculinity and men themselves are forged in the suffering of the journey of forging masculinity through that pain, through the loss, through the betrayals, through the mistakes, through the getting things wrong and trying again, picking yourself up and going again, tweaking things. That is all part of the masculine journey. And unfortunately, a lot of us men didn't get taught that was part of our journey as men, and that there was a sacred transition that needs to occur between boys and men. And historically, the men would take the boys from the village, take them from their mothers, and initiate them in the woods in the forests go through different sort of rituals to essentially initiate these young teenage boys into becoming men. And when they came back to the village, they were men. They no longer stayed in the huts with the women, they stayed with the men. And the world of the men and the world of the women was very separate. And it always was that way. Men and women come together and create this beautiful majesty of connection, for sure, the beautiful dance of the union of masculine and feminine, but not sitting around all day hanging out with women and making your life about women. That is never, ever been the way of things. Really, it's only been in the very recent history where we've had this idea that men and women should be just domesticatedly spending all their time together. Like I said, they're interchangeable. And also that men should meet women in their feminine almost. And what that does is it just eliminates polarity. And polarity is the key to not only attraction, but to harnessing the power of the universe. If I'm showing up with a plus, I need a negative, right? The polarity, in order to capture the power of the charge of things. If you just have unharnessed energy, there's no friction to move that energy through space. You need a harness around energy. And if you think of chaos of the divine feminine, femininity, the woman, just inner, the feelings and all this just endless supply of emotion, it's beautiful. It's a fireworks show, but it needs harnessing. It needs the masculine frame around it. And your job as a man is to paradoxically get very clear about your purpose and mission in your life so that you can become a safe harness for the feminine energy that will arrive in your life. And paradoxically, if you make the feminine to be your purpose, that is where you will be destroyed by it. Because the feminine should only enter your life when you've fortified your own perimeter as a man and be focused in on the mission and the purpose. And that the woman that enters into that frame, she, as a woman and as women do, she will magnify what is there. And that is what the feminine does. She's a magnifier. She's an alchemist to your masculinity through the feminine. And I think that, yes, women are somewhat unbelievable for us men. When we look at women and we apply our logic brain to them, it makes no sense. The mathematical equation is not solvable. But that's a mistake, and that is where we go wrong as men when we try to navigate the feminine. Now, we can observe women, and we can observe their pragmatic, practical behaviors, but we can never remedy those behaviors with logic. All we can do is be witness to them, hold the line, and not be fooled into jumping into the chaos river with the woman. And that is why, as a man, the more you learn this, the more forged you become, the more time you spend in solitude, processing your own self, who you are, getting to know who you actually are when there's no one around. The more you do that, the more equipped you'll be to navigate the feminine when she comes eventually into your life. Now, in the modern age, because women have adopted so much masculine traits themselves, and that men also have adopted a lot of femininity or failed to become men, let's say, they've failed to be taught how to be men by the other men. So there's not been any initiation for a lot of young men for the last few generations. So you've got all these men that are, in their 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s and beyond that are still in their boy psychology. They're still expecting something from women that's never going to come. And women will play along with that for a moment. If there's a lot of attraction at the beginning of a relationship, women will sort of acquiesce to whatever's needed to become attractive to the man. But if the man is unable to maintain his frame and ultimately after the honeymoon period sort of just acts like he's got the prize now and he doesn't have to do anything anymore, he's going to get burned because she will start testing and the man won't know how to deal with the testing, and ultimately the man will become a boy and reveal the truth, his dirty secret of his boyness, and then the woman will take him to the cleaners ultimately. And then ultimately the woman leaves, completely destroys the man, breaks his heart because you didn't know what you were dealing with and you didn't know what you were looking at. And in fact, you weren't even looking at the woman that you thought you were looking at because of your own projections of women and your own projections of what you think a woman is based off your relationship with your mother, how you grew up in your family home, where your dad was he around, was he actively abusive, was he not even present, whatever it is. All of these conditions set you up to be a man in his boy psychology in his older life, and that will always end in tears. And I think that, and this is a bitter pill to swallow, lads, which is purposeless men without mission, without the understanding that the men take responsibility no matter what, and their expectations of women is not fantastical, and that this woman's going to take care of you and be your safety and your peace and your comfort and all these things. Once you realize that that's not her job to provide for you, and quite honestly it's your job to provide for her and the family, is that you're the rock, you're the man, and that a lot of the time you might be invisible. And that's going to suck sometimes when the shit hits the fan. You're the unsung hero, but you're the man. And that comes with responsibility and a bitter pill to swallow when you realize you're looking at women like they're one-on-one with you, and they're not. They're like kids. They want to be safe, they want to feel good, comfortable, happy, present, and then once they have kids, their whole thing focuses on the kids. So forget about happily ever after. Forget about romance, all of that energy and feeling that brought you guys together, that gave you the best sex of your life for 3 months. That's all real, but it goes away. It's just nature bringing you together. And that's an animalistic attraction that you have no control over, that your morals and values don't give a shit about. And that is why you should never make a woman your purpose, priority, concern. You always need to lead from example, but know that if you do decide to have a baby with that woman, as soon as she's had that baby, the energy is going to shift, and that's the way it goes. And you better make sure that you're a quality of man that is taking care of his health, taking care of his business and his money, taking care of his family, but also has a brotherhood or a connection to men that he can go to unleash on, sport, hobbies, passion outside of his work, and just make sure he's got a full rounded life that is not just sitting around waiting for your girlfriend or wife to be the way she was when you first met her, because that will destroy you. So purpose and mission is everything for a man, and a woman is nothing more than a day off. Ultimately, she's your day off. She's a little bit of celebration, she's a bit of fun, but you don't get anything done with a woman. When you're with a woman, you're just having fun. You're not on the grind that day, and that's fine. You can of course enjoy yourself in your life, but she is not the portal to peace. She's not the portal to any sort of higher self. It's passion and fun and sex and all those things, connection. It's all real and true, but it is not the be all and end all, and it is certainly not your purpose. So put that to bed, have a funeral for that idea, change your expectations about women, and refocus all of that desire, or whatever you want to call it, into yourself. Get yourself online to accept yourself for who you are and push yourself to what you want to be. Focus on the why you're here, your mission, your purpose. Get clear, break it down into actionable steps. Don't over promise on the glow up. Make sure you can do little things that you can accomplish daily towards bigger goals, but just get going. If you want to learn more with me, click the link and join Betterman Academy. It's free to join. Got over 300 members in there now. We're developing lots of amazing value in there. Ultimately, we're going to be talking about the world of women, how to understand women, how to deal with women, also rebooting yourself, rebooting your masculinity in 30 days, and a bunch of other things that we're working on to put together as a whole package deal that is going to be so valuable and so informative to any young man or older man, any man whatsoever in 2025 that feels lost, purposeless, meaningless, nihilistic, lethargic, don't know where to start, what's the point of life, you hate women, all this bullshit. If you're in that energy, then you've got to join the Betterman Academy immediately. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, and obviously click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and stay tuned for the next video here. Hope you enjoyed this one, hope it made a bit of sense for you, and I hope it cleared some things up. Comment below if you want me to talk about any particular topic, and I will be shooting another video very soon. Appreciate all the support, lads, appreciate all the love, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!